Hello, welcome to Vinyl Cutting Week. So this is the first week where we're going to start down the path of vector-based design. So vector-based design is something that we use in all types of digital fabrication, but this week we're going to start with the vinyl cutter. Vinyl cutters are super versatile tools. You can use them for anything from vinyl apparel to exterior vinyl to boat vinyl. You can use them to cut paper. You can use them for screen printing processes. They're really, really fantastic tools and sometimes one of the most overlooked tools in digital fabrication labs and in maker spaces. So by the end of this week, you're going to create a t-shirt that has a custom design that you have made on Illustrator. And that design is going to be composed of 15 characters, a quote that's 15 characters, and an associated graphic. So to start off, I'm going to show you a few examples from last year. So I'm going to go to our course site, and you can always check out other students' work here. So I scroll down to the bottom on the home page, and there's a button for 2020 students. And you can just click on these and they'll link you to that student's website. So I pulled a few that I thought were kind of cool. So this is John Proctor's, and his quote is, "I am Groot," by I Am Groot, with Groot as the character. Whitney did a sweatshirt definition, and her associated graphic is a listen button. This is Emma. She chose to do a dog graphic. And I think the dog's name is Suki. And this is Ibrahim's, and he did Bob Marley, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Okay, so these are all totally reasonable projects for this week, and I just wanted to show you those before we get started. So at some point, each of you should have received an email about downloading Adobe Illustrator and making sure your license is set up. Once you get that email, you should download Adobe Illustrator and pull it up for this tutorial. So Adobe Illustrator is this small icon right here. It's brown yellow and says AI. So click on that, and I'm going to go through all this. You can follow along. You can just kind of put your computer to the side, whatever works for you. There's so many tutorials on YouTube and all over the place for Adobe Illustrator. And so I will go through what I think is essential for this week's assignment. But if you want to learn more and continue exercising this new skill, go for it. There are like tons of resources, and I'll link some below as well. So once you're at this page, you're going to go to Create New. It's going to prompt you for some information. So over here where it says Untitled, let's do maybe your first name and like t-shirt. Now your width and height this is referring to your work plane. So our work plane in this instance should be defined by the size of our shirt. I would suggest you come in, choose a shirt, take it back to your room, and then go from there with your design, because like maybe you want to do something pretty straightforward, like just on the front or just on the back, but maybe you want to go down the side of the sleeve, maybe you want to do something on the inside. I have no idea. But I would choose your shirt before you get too far into this process. So go ahead and press Create. And let's go through the very basics. So let's practice zooming in and zooming out. If you have a trackpad, you can do that with your fingers. If you just have a keyboard and a mouse, you can do that by doing Command minus, Command plus, or Control minus, Control plus if you're on Windows. And then make sure your screen looks like this. If it doesn't, there'll be a button up here, and it probably says one of these other things, and make sure you're on Essentials. If you go to Essentials Classic, it'll look a little bit different. So I like to keep it on Essentials. And now we're going to go over these icons on your left nav bar. So the black arrow versus the white arrow is what we're going to talk about first. The black arrow is your selection tool. It will like move an entire shape. It will be good for selecting the object. The white arrow is the direct selection tool, and that's good for manipulating parts of an object. So let's just test that out. Go down to your shape tool, hold down on the shape tool, and grab an ellipse. By pressing down and holding, you can form some kind of circle or oval or ellipse. So if I click now on my black selection tool, I'm just gonna move it around, and I'm moving the entire object. I can change the size of it this way, okay? And if I hold shift, I can change the size proportionately. So it's changing the entire object though. But let's say I wanna manipulate parts of it. I can click on the white direct selection tool, and you see all of a sudden these blue squares popped up, and if I zoom in, I double click on this, so typically it's a double click, and now I can change a part of the entire ellipse. And these handles are called Bezier handles, and they're really fun. And you can just kind of change your object around and do all sorts of crazy stuff. And this is how you would change specific parts of it. And I mean, you can play with this for days. So anyways, let's delete this. Now to delete it, we're going to go back to the selection tool and press delete. Okay. Let's continue going down this list. Let's go to text, because we're definitely going to need to use text today. So I can click with my text. I can type things. On the right, you can see all of this character information. So to change the font, I could double click and choose some of these other fonts. You can also download fonts and use other fonts. If I want to change the size, remember I said if you want to change the size proportionately, you hold shift and then change. Okay? So if I don't hold shift, it'll do kind of some funky stuff here, and I will not maintain my proportions. If you ever want to undo like I just did, that's Command Z. Okay. Let's talk about these two squares right here. So this one that I hover over is black, it says fill. The one behind it says stroke. Okay. So right now it's literally saying the color of these this text is black, and I can double click on this and change it. Now it's a different color. Nothing happened because to the outline because I didn't change it. So I can double click on the outline and I can change it, and now I have a black outline. And I can make that outline thicker by going up here to stroke, and I can change that. Okay. Also, remember you always have to select it. I can swap these out. So the swap, fill, and stroke, I can do that way, and the hotkey for that is Shift X or Control X. Okay. Let's check out a few more things here. This is your work plane. Okay, so remember how we did 12 by 12? Up here, those numbers popped up. So I can change that if I wanted to. There's a few more tools over here, but we're not going to cover them right now. We are going to cover some tools here. So Pathfinder, let's bring that one up. And if you don't have these on the right side right here, I think you can go to Window. And so I want to grab a line, and I want to grab Pathfinder, and I'm just going to keep them right there. And you can also just slide them over here, and they sometimes pop on into place. Sometimes they don't. There they go. But I'm going to actually keep it out here. I like it out here. Okay. So let's just say I have a circle and another circle, another circle. Okay, I have all these circles, and I actually want all of the circles to be in a vertical straight line. I could press Command A, go to Align Horizontal, and now they are all centered. And I can also press Distribute Spacing, and now they are centered and spaced correctly. Other things you can do, like if you wanted to have them aligned in different ways. So I'm going to just change the size of one of these. So instead of having them aligned on the center, I can have them aligned on the left, on the right. I can also combine shapes. So I could do this shape, this shape, make it a little bit bigger, and I can grab a rounded rectangle And if I bring these together, they're now overlapping. I can select all of them, and using a Pathfinder, there's unite, minus front or difference, intersect, and exclude. So if I want to unite these, I click unite, and now I have a whole new shape, and I can change the shape. I can do all sorts of things to impact it and change it. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to show you right now, but let's go through an example project. So I'm going to walk through how I would create a design for this week's assignment. And I'm going to teach you one main tool called image trace. First thing you want to do is decide on your theme. I'm going to go with a Star Wars theme and just do like a May the Force be with you. And I think I'll have this just be like on the front of the shirt. And I think I'd like it to be centered. I'm going to make it bigger. And I actually downloaded a Jedi font for this, which you can download fonts as well. Cool, there is that. And I'm just going to pop that up there and like put it somewhere else. And now I got to think about my graphic. So I'm not going to like draw a graphic right here. I'm going to go to Google Images and find a graphic. And I'll probably just do Baby Yoda. So let's go to Google. Baby Yoda graphic. I'm going to go to Images, Tools, Color, Black and White. And this is like pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. So I want something that's like really, really crisp. Like some of these I definitely like more than others. So to be clear, like this is not crisp black and white. This is not crisp black and white. This is pretty crisp. This is pretty crisp. This is almost crisp, but we've got all of this like noise in the background that's not going to be super helpful. But I think I really like this one. So I'm just going to right click, copy image, go back to Illustrator. You can right click paste or just press Command V. Now if we like zoom into this, you can see this is all pixels. This isn't a path connected by 2 points. This is really blurry, and this is not what we want. We don't want this, which we can also call like a raster image. So I'm going to go up here to image trace, and if I zoom in, you'll see like when this happens, I do image trace, and it immediately changes. And we did lose some detail, but it's like mostly okay. And then expand. And that changed it to a vector. Now before we finish this up, you'll see this like bounding boxes around it, and we don't need that. Click on the white direct selection tool and just delete all of the bounding box. So now we should be able to click it and it's just like its own thing. Okay, now I did lose some detail that I really wanted. Like I liked the white to Baby Yoda's eyes. So I'm gonna add those back in right here. And that's like a really simple thing that's easy for me to do, that I just think like gives them a little bit more character. And like if I wanted to, I could go in and I could fix the nose, because like the nose definitely, you know, kind of looks like Pac-Man now. It's not a great vibe. Because I want to make sure this is perfectly centered, the next thing I'm going to do is group Baby Yoda. Because like right now, if I move this, his eyes don't come with him. His eyes are gone. So Command Z, select all of this, group it by either right-clicking and press group, or you could just press Command G, group, and now like he moves all together. Okay, so like I said, I want to make sure this is perfectly centered, so I'm going to do Command A and center. And now this is pretty much good to go. You want to pay attention to the size here, because the measurements are not going to translate when we export this as a PNG. It's not going to translate when we import it into our new software. So just like make sure you have this original file saved. So I just do a quick save. And then now file export as PNG. Okay, so there are a lot of options right here. Export it as a PNG. Okay, and now you're pretty much ready to go. Just make sure you get trained If you have any questions about this entire process, totally ask me. Good luck, and I hope you have fun with this assignment.